Hey, what is up guys? It's Arnek and welcome to this week's video. Let's take a step back, because today we're going to create interesting and stylistic background animations to put behind your titles or lyric videos. But before we hop into After Effects, make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn on the notifications to step-by-step up your filmmaking and animation game. It does help a lot and I really do appreciate it. So without any further ado, let's hop right in. Roll the intro.
Okay, so let's kick things off with a rather simple and quick one. Nothing too fancy here, but I like to use this one whenever there is little content to actually look at. That is when I find it too empty with just a blank background. So to add that certain interest to the scene, let's create a new solid layer. Control, Command and Y. And for now, let's go with something a little off-white. Highlight the new solid layer. And then we are going to search for an effect. And by the way, the tool that I'm using here is called Effects Console from Video Copilot. I highly recommend you guys to check it out, as it can speed up your workflow by quite a bit. And as it is free, I don't see why you would not go and get it. You can find the link in the description below. The effect we are searching for is the Fractal Noise. Most of you will probably have heard already about this effect, as it is incredibly versatile and can be used in numerous ways. For this one we are going with a fractal type called Smeary, but honestly you can pick whichever you want and whichever suits your project best. With the type selected, our next step is to decrease the contrast to something around 70. Leave the rest as it is for now and simply reduce the opacity way down, so it is not too heavy on the eye anymore. Normally I tend to go with something around 5 to 8 to make it really subtle, and more often than not that is exactly what you want. But for now, let's keep it a little bit higher so you can see what the effect does a little better. So I'm setting 12 or maybe 15. But that in itself does not do the trick yet. For the fractal noise to actually move, we have to animate the evolution. And we do that with one of the probably most used expressions, time. So Alt-Option click the stopwatch to enter an expression and type in time times, and let's go all the way, say 200, and see how it looks. What this expression does is increase the evolution by 200 degrees for every second passing. But to me this is kind of too much, which is why I like to combine it with the posterized time effect. So again, search for posterized time and add it to the layer. Posterized time is an effect that essentially lets you set a custom frame rate at which the affected layer is played back at. Let's set the frame rate to, I don't know, let's try 10. Now instead of every frame, the layer only changes every third frame, as our base frame rate is 30 and this one layer is now replayed at 10. Of course, if you feel better with other settings, go ahead and play around with the numbers. In the end, it really is up to you. But yeah, that's it for the first background animation. For the second one, we again have to first create a new solid layer, so Control and Command Y, and this time the color does not matter. Highlight the new solid and search for the effect Radio Waves. With radio waves, initially there are circles being created that radiate outwards in a set interval, and it uses this horrible blue color. So first off, change that color to stop your eyes from hurting. After you saved yourself a massive headache, it is time to mess with the settings. For example, you can change the polygon sides downward, so you don't have to work with circles only here. And then, as you might expect, you can change everything else as well. Frequency, spin, stroke width, literally anything. Moving down the timeline, we then can look how the scene is filled up. And in this case, I feel like the shapes are too cramped out here, so I'll increase the expansion just a notch. Okay, now I'm actually happy with the waves, but it got a little too hard to read the title in my opinion. So what I'm gonna do is to create a new adjustment layer with Control and Alt on PC or Command and Option on Mac, and then hit Y on your keyboard. And then apply a Gaussian blur. Normally I would go with a camera lens blur, as the result looks considerably better, but it also uses a lot more power and time for the machine to calculate things. So I'm gonna stick to a simple Gaussian blur for the sake of this tutorial. After you increase the blur amount, choose the shape tool by clicking up here or simply hit Q on your keyboard and create a big ellipse right onto the adjustment layer to create a new mask. Then you might want to increase the feathering until the harsh edge is gone. Depending on the title, you might also want to increase the mask expansion. This not only increases the readability of the title, but also creates a little more depth. And that's it for number 2. Visually, I like option number 3 the most. But at the same time, it really does not fit into every project. But when it does, it is a visual that only very few people are using. For this one, I got inspired from Alexander Hess over on Instagram. I hope I didn't mess up his name too much. Now let's dive into how to create those soft shapes. First off, create a new shape using the shape tool. Remember, Q on your keyboard. Any shape will do for now. I want the first one to be an outline only, so go into the fill and choose none, and into stroke and choose solid. As your stroke color, for now pick any color you want. We need to change that in just a bit anyways. Create the shape, not too big though, and search for the effect drop shadow. Set the angle to wherever you want the light to come from. In Western cultures, we usually tend to imagine the light coming from the upper left corner, so the shadow should drop to the bottom right. Set the color to a darkish gray and increase the distance to around 30 and softness way up about 80 or something. Then simply decrease the opacity to 10, and that's it for the first shadow. Does not look like much yet, does it? But just you wait, my friend. Duplicate the drop shadow effect, spin the direction to the exact opposite side, change the color to white or off-white or whatever you want, and increase the opacity to 80-ish. Finally, change the stroke color of the object to the same as your background. And now you have that soft shape that is only defined by its shadow casts. I don't know about you, but it looks just so smooth and satisfying to me. Now all that is left to do is to wiggle express the position and rotation, duplicate it a bunch of times, and maybe throw some other shapes in there as well. Now you're done and have another very unique style at hand to use in your animations.
Well, and there you have it. If you combine these techniques with the ones I showed in my last 2 videos, you can create some pretty intriguing title and lower third designs, so definitely go and check out these videos as well. If you enjoyed this video, smash the like button, subscribe if you aren't already, and ring that bell to be notified about future videos. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers!